I did a video on this topic recently, and I found it to be incredibly disgusting. I laid out my positions of it at the time, but apparently this rabbit hole goes a hell of a lot deeper, so we're going to take a look at this periodical, okay? Authored by Tom Leonard. It's going to be presented in his words, and I'm just going to try to add some commentary and hopefully be able to keep a level head about this, because I find this to be incredibly distasteful. I think that it is totally unnecessary, and I want to know why this is happening, okay? Because euthanasia, it's necessary for certain very specific instances of medical catastrophe, obviously, but the way that it's being warped and weaponized now by the Canadian government, this is kind of a clarion call of things to come in other developed nations, because if it is somewhat moderately successful up here in Canada, you can expect it to be coming to a developed nation near you. Is this the type of progress that you're opining for? Is this what you are hoping to achieve with your socialized medicine? Tired of long wait lines, okay? Emergency stays that take hours and hours on end only to line up to get substandard care? Well, you could always just kill yourself. Okay, that seems to be a viable decision in Canada based on the certain metrics that are being offered to people. Okay, because now we're getting to a point where if you feel bad, we could offer you a needle if you'd like. This is what's going on. I don't understand. I do not understand the rationale and the logic behind this, okay? We could always strap on our tinfoil hat. This is a big depopulation effort, and we just want to, clear out the rest of the country so that you can bring in all the immigrants from around the world. It's like, do we have to go that far, or is there something, that's just a little bit easier to explain without having to get completely wrapped up in conspiracy? Hopefully we get to the bottom of this, or at least a little bit more elucidated on the subject. America, be very afraid. Astonishingly, Canada is now euthanizing 10,000 people every year. Wow. And some of its horrific stories of its ultra-permissive policy will horrify you. Oh great, strap in. Merry Christmas, everyone. Winston Churchill famously reassured the United States that a long northern border was guarded only by neighborly respect and honorable obligations. Yeah, we got a pretty dope Air Force, but outside of that, ground forces, pretty sparse. It's cold though in the winter. Like, it's pretty cold up here right now, so you probably don't want to invade it. That would be a terrible thing. And generations of U.S. leaders have tended to agree there's nothing to worry about from solid and reliably uncontroversial Canada until about 2015, when everything started to go off the rails. Anyone who has ever thought the compassionate response to extreme human suffering is a society that helps people find permanent release from their pain may want to look at some of the horror stories coming out of Canada recently. We detailed two of them, and didn't quite bring a tear to my eye, but it brought visceral disgust to my gut. So, to be clear, euthanasia laws in the United States are nothing like those in the neighbors to the north, but American acceptance and practice has been growing for decades, despite warnings of legalized suicide as a slippery slope towards a calamitous debasement of human life. Canada, a country that prides itself on its own open-mindedness and tolerance, we got good maple syrup, and you like poutine, huh? We got hacky and a whole bunch of other stuff, huh? I don't know, the Canadian accent really drives me up a wall, so I try my best to not present any sort of unpalatable dialect. It sounds different in recording than it does in my own ears, kind of like everybody else's own personal voice sounds different. And you're more than likely to come across that sort of, your hack Canadian accent out east and firmly within Alberta, and this shit is super fucking haram when it comes to euthanasia for feeling bad. Like, it's so fucking stupid. If you want to kill yourself so bad, just hop on a drilling rig. They'll find that there's a few different ways that you can do it and make it look like an accident. Last year, more than 10,000 people in Canada, astonishingly, that's over 3% of all deaths there, ended their lives via euthanasia. An increase of a third the previous year. Great. And it's likely to keep rising. Next year, Canada is set to allow people to die exclusively for mental health reasons. Remember when, because this is all just coming from the compassionate left, okay, the liberals in the country. That's the side that always wants to have the conversation on mental health. We really need to get to the bottom of this. And what they found out is, oh, at the bottom it's a handgun with one single round. Only last week, a jaw-dropping story emerged of how, 5 years into an infuriating battle to obtain a stairlift for her home, I didn't hear about this one, but this was the impetus to do this story. Canadian Army veteran and Paralympian Christine Gautier was offered an extraordinary alternative. Remember, this is all about, can I get a stairlift in my house? It's really tough to go up the stairs. Can I get some sort of reprieve for this? Can I get some help with that? And it's like, okay, I served in the military and I also represented the flag at the Paralympics. So can I do that? It's like, no, we could just kill you though. What? A Canadian official told her in 2019 that if her life was too difficult and she's so desperate, the government could help her kill herself. She wants a stair lift, okay? I have a letter saying that if you're so desperate, madam, we can offer you MAiD, medical assistance, and dying, the paraplegic ex-army corporal testified to Canadian MPs. And they're like, yeah, okay, cool. Anything else? Miss Gautier, who injured her back in training accident in '89, competed in Canada in the 2016 Paralympics in Rio de Janeiro and the Invictus Games the same year. Despite being confined to a wheelchair with musculoskeletal disorder, which affects her legs, back and hips. There's not multiple backs, okay? There's only one. I don't know why I needed to pluralize that. She is a gold medal winning para-canoeist. Oh, okay. Now, do you really need a special category for that? Okay, like, you don't really use your feet when you're canoeing, but that's still pretty cool, though, that you won the gold, though. And won a silver medal participating in Canada's women's ice sledge hockey team. Yo, that shit is difficult. I've tried that once. I think it was a module in high school, phys ed or some shit like that. It's like, yo, those bitches, they mean, okay, with the little goofy sticks on your fucking toboggan on the ice rink. It's like, that shit is crazy. That is the most Canadian sentence that I've ever uttered before in my life. Anyways, back to this. She is very far from most people's ideal of hopeless case, and yet her government's Department of Veteran Affairs didn't hesitate to suggest that she might like to end her life if the battle to get a ramp was proving too much for her. Okay, she wasn't born crippled. She became a paraplegic. She's overcome a whole hell of a lot. She was just looking for government assistance for a fucking stair lift, okay? And they're like, yeah, but death, though. You'll get your legs back in heaven. What? Around 5 cases of military veterans. Yeah, this is where it just gets fucking disgusting. I hate this shit so much. Anybody who serves and upholds the rights and liberties of their fellow citizens, okay, wraps themselves up in patriotism to the point where they would like to defend those values through force if necessary, and you want to treat them like that, that is detestable and disgusting, inhumane, and how many other adjectives would you like for me to describe this situation? It's fucking gross, and I hate it. Anytime that I see mistreatment of veterans, okay, the guys who are out there on the front line, guys and gals in this situation, whenever they're mistreated by the government that they serve and that they pledge their life to defend, if you don't take care of those people, if I was in charge of everything, the punishment that they would receive is something I couldn't detail in polite society. Like, I can deal with a lot of things, and I'm still going to make fun of it. It's like, obviously, I've made some fucking jokes during this video, too, but there's a very short list of things that make me uneasy and that personally not offend, but affect me. But when it comes to, like, you know, the plight of the veteran after they leave service and then they just have nothing going on in life because all they've known, or maybe all that they've been subject to, and the fact that they have legitimate mental problems afterwards and they're not being assisted, and that they end up, well, either homeless or just lacking a place in society. And that's a very sad story, okay? And that's something that, you know, I'm not unsympathetic to, and that's something that should be high priorities, okay, on any candidate that I support. Veterans Affairs is very much an intimate subject for me, okay? That's why I find this story so just reprehensible. Hate to use such emotional language, but it's like, what's your defense for just saying, oh, what's that? You want to take advantage of your benefits? Well, guess what? Your benefits come in a fucking 40 or a 45 caliber installment payments. So, fucking Christ. Veterans Affairs Minister Lawrence Macaulay, you should try this fucking new treatment, tried to blame a single female official, and yet, if that case, she hardly dreamt up the appalling suggestion out of thin air, but offered a fatal solution that experts say is becoming far too common in Canada. That's so funny. That's so funny. Veterans Affairs Minister, he would be a part of the Liberal Party of Canada. Whenever the going gets tough, the tough in this situation, the Liberal Party Minister, he seems to find a woman to blame. Real gender equity. Okay, Trudeau does it all the time. Hi, I just appointed the first Native Canadian Attorney General, and then, she wanted to take a look at my business dealings at SNC Lavalin. Oh yeah, we need to kick her and just put her back in her teepee where she belongs. Fucking terrible people. Alan Nichols, for instance, is a 61-year-old British Columbian with a history of depression and other medical issues, although none of them life-threatening, who was hospitalized in 2019 over fears he might be suicidal, although he asked his brother Gary to bust him out as soon as possible. Within a month of going into hospital, he submitted a request to be euthanized. He listed only one health condition, hearing loss. What? As a reason, but that was enough to satisfy his keepers, and he was killed. Whoa. Alan was basically put to death, said his brother Gary. Yep. I made my position on depression very well known, okay? And that's a self-defeating spiral that you have a say in. Defeating, I've laid that out before, okay, but just follow me along on this analogy. But if you're being constantly bombarded with opinions that, this is out of your control, and if you don't want to live with this anymore, we have an easy out for you. People in that situation, people with a victim mentality, they could very easily pick up on it. Case in point, Alan right there. Alan Nichols, pushed over the fucking edge. He had hearing loss. Now he has life loss. Now his family have an Alan loss. Erin Smith said her 71-year-old father, Rod McNeil, went to an Ontario hospital after suffering a fall. A month later, he had been euthanized. What? She says the doctors responsible didn't even get a hold of his medical records from his own physician. Holy fuck. He was subsequently euthanized for a condition, end-stage chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, that an autopsy shows he didn't have. So they just committed murder. Wow. Sheila Elson, the mother of a 25-year-old woman with cerebral palsy, said a hospital doctor in Newfoundland actually told her she'd be selfish if she didn't consider pursuing the euthanasia option. Wow. Like, cerebral palsy, that sucks, dude. Like, there's no light at the end of that tunnel. That shit is only going to continue to get worse. And fucking Christ, dude, that is a gigantic, I'll just say a gigantic burden on any family, whoever member has that disease. But to just say that, and it's like, of course it comes out of Newfoundland. Roger Foley, a patient with a degenerative brain disorder, secretly recorded staff at the hospital in London, Ontario, mentioning euthanasia. In one recording, the hospital director of ethics told Mr. Foley it would cost you north of $1,500 a day to keep him in hospital. You're supposed to have socialized medicine, right? It's all supposed to be by the people, for the people. But it's gonna be expensive, and we got other fat people to just shill a bunch of diabetes medicine towards, okay? So if you could just go ahead and fucking hurry up and die already, that'd be great, because we could help you along with that if you'd like. My piece of this was to talk to you to see if you had any interest in assisted dying. Hi, have you thought about dying lately? We know that you have a brain condition, but we would like to have this very serious conversation with you, even though you are mentally compromised. Mr. Foley said he had never previously mentioned euthanasia, but the hospital said there is no ban on staff raising the issue. That is so fucked, I don't even know where to begin. Okay, somebody's going into hospitals. Normally you think that you would go and seek out medical care in order to get better. But I guess if you have an earache, you got to come to the realization that maybe in Canada, your solution is just a nylon rope and an exposed rafter away from being solved. These damning accounts were obtained by an investigation by Associated Press. AP doing some good investigative journalism? What the fuck? And almost every other week has brought fresh controversy surrounding Canada's right to die policy, and further evidence that the practice that was once intended to be a last-ditch solution to only the most incurable incurable and terminal diseases is slipping dangerously out of control. Yeah, that sounds about right, okay? Because that was my position. It's like, okay, if you're going through excruciating pain and you're just basically being kept alive in a morphine-fueled pseudo-existence and you want to die with a little bit of dignity left, I don't like it, but I understand it, okay? And hopefully if I find myself in that situation, well, hopefully I don't find myself in that situation, but if I were there at the end of my life, I would like that, I like that choice afforded to me. Don't know if I'd take it, don't know if I'd ever find myself in that situation, but going out with a bit of dignity and not in a horrific, assisted life type situation towards the end, yeah, man, stop wasting everybody's time and just get it over with, I guess. But that's the way that I'm built. But it wouldn't be over something like, oh, I've been feeling bad lately. And it's like, well, here, I'm just going to slip this piece of paper across and just, read it over and think about it for a second. In America, long gone are the days when the United States pathologist Dr. Jack Kevorkian, oh my lord, and euthanasia pioneer served 8 years in prison in the 90s and 2000s after his life-ending assistance to dozens of terminally ill people was judged to be second-degree murder. Yeah, he was at least doing it to people who, yeah, there was no hope for you. So if you'd like to just, peace out on your own terms, well, Kevorkian seemed to revel in the public spotlight. I saw him as a champion for assisted suicide. He enabled his first patient, Oregon school teacher Janet Atkins, to end her life back in a rusting Volkswagen van. That was 1990. That was a good year. Just not for the Atkins family, though. Since then, 10 states and the District of Columbia have elected to allow doctor-assisted suicide. California, Colorado, New Jersey, Hawaii, Maine, Oregon, Vermont, Washington, New Mexico, and Montana. Montana, that's the only outlier on there. The rest of them, it's like, yeah, no, I'm not surprised by any of that. 1950, 37% of Americans supported euthanasia. By 96, as Kevorkian made headlines, public support spiked to 75% and remains at that level today. Yeah, but they're all under the assumption that that's for, very rare situations right at the end with no hope, okay? If you want to punch out on your own terms, your call to make, obviously. But now, just for the sake of time, because I don't want anybody to consider suicide watching this video, of course, we'll just get to this handy-dandy little graphic that we have here. So, as it comes to Canada, so what's going to be changing when it comes to the policy here? So, okay, because we've seen the different people, the 5 different people that were offered medical assistance and dying, what MAiD stands for, okay? It's going to be getting a little bit of a facelift here in 2023 at the turn of the new year. So back in 2016, okay, your eligibility for euthanasia, it required a person with a condition severe enough that death is imminent. That's where that's where I draw my line. It's like, okay, cool, you want to do that legally, lawfully, in the comfort of a quote-unquote nice medical facility? It seems about right. Okay, need approval from 2 doctors. That's where it's going to stay standard on that. So your approval, you need sign off from 2 independent doctors, and then the waiting period, 10 days, or they can waive it. Okay, yeah, man, get it over quickly because these are the people, death is imminent. Okay, you want to punch out? All right then, cool. 10 days, we can wait for that. You can get some family members in. You can pass away peacefully, surrounded by your loved ones, like everybody romanticizes. Meanwhile, most people are just gonna die comfortably in their fucking sleep, anyways. But you know what? If you wanna live out that romanticized vision and traumatize everybody in your family, you got 10 days. That was back in 2016. We are in 2021. So now, what is the standard? A person with a physical condition deemed intolerable. A physical condition deemed intolerable. Who deems it intolerable? What is the threshold for tolerability? Okay, I lost the leg. Okay, cool. Well, you can have it back to you, okay, once you punch out. I'm sure you don't have to take your prosthetic with you when you go to purgatory. All right, then you still need your two doctors to sign off on that, and then you have 3 months to think things over, and if you still want to go through with it, all right, we'll book you a nice little room. But now take a look, okay, because there's just a little bit of an update here. A person with a mental condition deemed intolerable. I got too many nights consecutive of very disturbing nightmares. Well, we got a solution for that. How would you like to make those nightmares permanent? That's what's coming in 2023. Oh, as well as this, I just seen this. Canada is also considering extending euthanasia to mature minors, children under 18 who meet the same requirements as adult. Yeah, okay. And now you're moving it to mental conditions. So kids that are infirmed, okay, kids that don't have quite the same auditory processing abilities, okay, can't quite maybe, vocalize their opinions on the subject. They're talking about the government mandating, or at least opening the possibility to kill off children. This is where we're at in Canada. This shit is so fucked, and it'll go criminally underreported by the mass media cabal that is simply a mouthpiece for the Liberal government. I fucking despise this shit with every fiber of my human being. I was fine with the 2016 standard. I thought that it might just stay right there. But never, ever, ever give your enemies any tools, and never give them an in that you know that they won't exploit against you, because now we're here. And given the fact what they try to promote and indoctrinate your children with in public school system, how many of these kids are going to come fucked up out of the system? They're going to grow up in a confused state, hating themselves for being white, okay, questioning their sexuality or their gender, okay, coming out of that system just like that. And how long before the school nurse starts going, well, we got this program, it's called MAiD, maybe you should think about it. And now we have this new foothold in here. We have this little exception. You seem like a smart kid. You seem like a mature kid, okay? You're 14 years old. Maybe you just need to start over once again. Hopefully you believe in reincarnation. You think that I'm being hyperbolic, but once again, oh yeah, a slippery slope, like death is imminent to all of a sudden some uncomfortable thoughts. Canada, what the fuck is happening up here? But yeah, man, do with that information what you will. I find it incredibly disturbing. I don't like to report on it, but it is necessary to do as much. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.